My sister banned my daughter as flower girl, and now I've uncovered her in-laws' vile secret. The family drama just keeps escalating. So I, 20F, have a sister, 26F, who got married last month. Let me be blunt. My sister has always been one of those people who needs everything to be perfect, to the point where it's sometimes exhausting to be around her. But she's my little sister, and since we have no other siblings, I always made excuses for her, even when she hurt me by being overly critical. When she asked me and my 4-year-old daughter to be part of her wedding in February, I was nervous. I knew she might turn into a bridezilla. Over the months, we endured endless dance practices, paid for expensive dresses, and dealt with her tantrums. From the start, I told her that if she was ever rude to my child, I wouldn't stand for it. She promised me she'd never be mean to her favorite person in the world. Then her husband's young cousin, about 8, started coming to the practices with her mom, and my sister began asking her to demonstrate little tasks like how to throw flower petals. At first, I thought she was adding the cousin as a flower girl, but when my sister made my daughter sit out completely and had the other girl perform her poem, I had a bad feeling. I prayed I was wrong. A few weeks before the wedding, I invited her out for coffee to ask what was going on. She admitted she was nervous my daughter might not do things perfectly on the big day and didn't want her to mess up her vision. I told her that my daughter was doing a great job and that everyone had been praising her. She laughed and said, "It's not their day, is it? It's my wedding, so it's not up to us what's good enough." I asked her outright if she thought her niece wasn't good enough to be in her wedding. She said, "Not as something big like a flower girl, but she can still attend." When I asked how I was supposed to break the news to my excited little girl, she just told me to figure it out. I told her I'd give her 1 day to reconsider, and if she didn't, we wouldn't attend the wedding or speak to her again. 2 days passed, and I couldn't put it off any longer. Breaking the news to my daughter was heartbreaking. I tried my best to sugarcoat it, but it crushed her. She cried herself to sleep that night, and so did my husband and I. When I didn't show up for anything wedding-related, my sister panicked. She sent family members to talk to me and even dropped off gifts for my daughter. When I told everyone the reason we weren't coming, a good number of family members, including the bridesmaids, dropped out of the wedding. We decided to leave for a few weeks without phones. When we came back, my sister had flooded me with letters and emails apologizing. Her husband and in-laws, however, called me selfish for what I'd done. Edit. My brother-in-law found this post and told my sister about it. She cried reading the comments and showed up at my job to confront me, knowing I wouldn't want a scene. They begged me to delete the post and kept apologizing. My sister even dropped the news that she might be pregnant. I told her that pregnancy doesn't erase the hurtful things she's done. I also said I hope her husband's siblings never treat her child the way she treated mine, because I don't plan to be a part of her life anymore. She broke down, saying she was sorry and that she loves my daughter. I told them to leave before I called security. Her husband tried to talk to me alone, saying I was making things harder for them because everyone is cold towards us because of you. I told him no. Everyone was cold because Cinderella and Prince Charming forgot that treating people poorly has consequences and no one wants to stick around for their happily ever after. They didn't like my tone, and their voices started to rise. My boss, who knows the situation and has a 5-year-old herself, stepped in and told them to leave. She's firmly on my side. Now, my sister's Mael has reached out to my parents, asking for a family meeting to work things out on neutral ground. I've agreed to go, but only to hear their story and make it clear that I want to be left alone. Update 2 days later. My sister's wedding photographer actually reached out to me after seeing my post. She knew my full name and sent me her Instagram to confirm it was really her. What she shared shocked me. Apparently, she overheard my sister's mother-in-law and aunt-in-law in the bathroom talking about my family. They used disgusting language, including insults directed at my husband and daughter. They even called me horrific names. The photographer mentioned they were both drunk at the time, but it doesn't excuse anything. She also said my brother-in-law had made similar inappropriate jokes earlier in the day, and my sister smiled at them. The photographer suspects some of my family members overheard these comments, which may explain why they dropped out of the wedding. So yeah, it turns out my daughter wasn't made the flower girl because, unlike me, her aunt or the other flower girl, she doesn't have blue eyes and blonde hair. If you're reading this, Sarah and Frank, stay away from us. My daughter is too good to be around people like you. Edit. I want to address some common questions before I head to bed. My parents are completely on my side, as are multiple other family members who haven't been cut off. My daughter doesn't know the full story, but as a treat for all of us, we plan to take her to Disneyland for Christmas, and my parents are joining us. Some people have suggested my sister might be in a controlling or harmful relationship. Her husband comes from old money and is very well connected in England, which is something she always wanted. If she is in a bad situation, I feel that it's up to my husband to forgive her, not me. Please don't message me again about this, and I won't share the photographer's information because she wants to remain anonymous. I've also learned that 3 family members, including a bridesmaid who dropped out, knew about what happened and didn't tell me. Lastly, I've seen some people making fun of the fact that my husband and I cried the night we told our daughter she wouldn't be in the wedding. Let me clarify, we didn't cry about her not being a flower girl, and we didn't cry in front of her. We cried after she went to bed because nothing hurts more than seeing your child think they're not good enough for someone they love. For those criticizing my husband for crying, a father's love is just as powerful as a mother's. Men are allowed to have emotions. Do better.